Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Felicia. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Like Felicia said, my name is McKenna Blanthorne, and I'm the marketing coordinator here at Silhouette America. So the main thing that I do for my job is I teach these classes fairly often, a couple times a month, and then I also run the social media here. So know that anytime you tag at silhouette.inc on social media or anything like that, I always get to see the awesome projects that you guys make, and I think that's the best part of my job. And the main part that I love my job, the main reason I love my job and the things that I get to do is because I get to interact with our Silhouette community, which I love teaching these classes because I can see a lot of you already have your cameras on, which makes it feel like we're in person, even though we're not. So if you feel comfortable, go ahead and turn your camera on so it can feel more like a real class as much as possible. But if you don't feel comfortable, no worries at all. But I do have my gallery view pulled up, so I love seeing everybody. And then I also have the chat open, so I will be watching that periodically throughout the class. And then Kelly also can answer you guys' questions and drop you any links that you might be asking for. And we're just gonna have a lot of fun today. So to start out, I would like to know, are you already a Silhouette user? Do you already own a Cameo machine or a portrait machine? Would you consider yourself a beginner? Because this class is meant for beginners. We're gonna keep things very, very simple today. So I just kind of want to get a feel for who you are as a Silhouette user. Maybe you're not a Silhouette user yet and you're thinking about buying a Silhouette machine. So go ahead and drop that in the chat for me. All right, so it looks like Becky does not have a machine yet, so she's new. Susie has a Cameo 3, so one of the older models. We have a couple Cameo 4 users, and then some beginners that have the machine but have never pulled it out of the box. That's perfect. So it seems like we're all fairly new to Silhouette here. And I'm going to try and keep things as simple as possible for you today. I know you're probably going to have other questions about different techniques you can use or different tools in the software. And like I said, you can put those in the chat and Kelly can direct you to some different places. But today we're just going to keep it simple. I don't want you to be intimidated because I know a new cutting machine can be a little bit intimidating, but I just want it to feel pretty simple and pretty easy. And that is the point of this class today. So to start out, I just kind of want to talk about our different machines that we have here at Silhouette that we sell at Michael's that you can purchase. So to start out, this is the Cameo 4 model. And this is our flagship machine. It's our most popular and most recent Cameo model. It was released in 2019, I believe. I've only been here since 2020, but I'm pretty sure this one was released in 2019. And there are a few previous versions. Like I said, this is the Cameo 4. So there is a Cameo 1, 2, and 3, and now the 4. So it can cut a variety of materials. When you purchase the Cameo 4 from Michael's, it is $299.99. And it comes with your model, and then it will come with one auto blade, which is this blade right here. And then it will also come with a 12x12 mat. And then also your power cords that you'll need, and a Bluetooth cord, or sorry, not a Bluetooth cord, a USB cord. And the machine is Bluetooth compatible, but the Bluetooth on my own computer isn't super strong. And so I always use the cord to just plug into the USB. So those are some highlights of the machine. A couple special things is it has this roll feeder that pops up, and I will show you guys how to use this a little bit later, but you can cut any brand of vinyl matless, which is unique to Silhouette. So that's really awesome. It also has a cross cutter in the back for when you are cutting matless. You can kind of see it right here, and you just feed the vinyl through, and then you pop the tabs down and slide this little cutter across, and it just cuts your vinyl for you. So those are some really cool built-in features of the Cameo 4. It also has a little storage compartment right here for an extra blade. And this is the Rotary Blade, and this goes in the second carriage right here. Let me just slide it in here to show you how it works. And the second carriage makes it so you can cut more materials. So the Rotary Blade is obviously used for fabric and felt. And then we also have other craft blades that can cut craft foam and leather and things like that. So the Cameo 4 cuts the most materials out of all of our Silhouette machines. And it has the power to do that because it has this dual carriage system that The first carriage is powerful and it can cut a lot of things like heat transfer and vinyl and paper and your standard materials. And then it can also have the second carriage, which has more power to cut stronger materials like fabric and felt and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this back out, put it in here. And if you guys have any questions about the Cameo 4, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Like I said, it's currently $2.99 at Michael's. And I do know that next week also they're doing a promo where depending on what machine you purchased, you'll get coupon rewards back. So I believe the Cameo, if you purchase the Cameo, you get a $20 coupon. If you purchase the Pro, which is the biggest machine, I think you get a $40 coupon. And if you purchase the Portrait, which is the smallest machine, you get a $10 coupon. And that might not be completely the right amounts, but it's something right around there. So if you're going to purchase one, next week is a great time to purchase it. And that's in store and online at Michael's. So our next machine that I want to talk about is the Portrait 3. So it actually looks like somebody said, I have a Portrait 3 and have only used it a few times. I've had it for a year and I'm definitely not a pro at all. So the Portrait 3 is our smaller model right here. And this can cut up to 9 inches in width. So we actually sell 9-inch vinyl here at Silhouette, but you can also use any vinyl that you already have on hand. You would just need to cut it down. So when you purchase the Portrait is $199.99 at Michael's, and it will come with your machine, your power cords, your blade, and a 9-inch mat. And this machine is very, very popular for 8.5 by 11 crafts. So if you are doing a lot of paper crafting on standard size cardstock, or you're doing a lot of sticker making, the Portrait 3 is perfect for you. But it also cuts amazingly vinyl and heat transfer materials. A lot of people will use this to like organize their kitchen, or I've seen organizational businesses that take the Portrait with them to like a client's house and they organize, you know, a spice drawer or a closet or things like that. And they'll cut out little vinyl labels with the Portrait and then just stick it right on there. And I have carried the Portrait in a standard size backpack before. So it's definitely smaller and it fits super great if you're looking for something that you can transport easily to, whether that's to a client's home or a crafting party or something like that. So that's the Portrait 3. Like I said, the majority of materials it cuts are heat transfer vinyl, cardstock, letter size paper, vellum, things like that. But it can cut other materials like fabric or felt, but you would just need to use a stabilizer, a fabric stabilizer on the back. So those are our two main machines. And then we also have our Cameo Pro, which is $499.99 at Michael's, and it is 24 inches in width. Well, it can cut 24 inches in width. So I think it's actually about 36 inches long. And it is the largest DIY cutting machine on the market. So it can just make huge projects, or it can cut a lot of different small things at once as well. So those are our 3 machines that we sell at Michael's. And I just want to leave a little minute if you guys have any questions. So Sharon asked, will this machine cut chipboard? Which blade? So Sharon, if you were asking about the Portrait 3, well, I guess both of them will cut chipboard, and you will just use the auto blade and you'll just have it on one of the highest settings. And I'll show you how you can use the Silhouette software to help determine those settings for you. So it does cut. And yes, Kelly is, I guess I'm thinking of the Silhouette chipboard that we sell, and we sell that at Michael's also. But if you were doing like a very, very thick chipboard, you would want to check out that blade that Kelly has linked there, that little link. Awesome. Awesome. So somebody asked about doing a walkthrough on how to use the sketch pens. So that's not something that we're going to have time to do today in this class, but I think Kelly can link a past class for you where she used the sketch pens. I think that one is available. So she'll go ahead and put that in the chat when she finds it. Okay. Okay, so Donna said she doesn't know which machine she has. Donna, so if it looks like this pink one and it says Cameo right here, that's the Cameo 4. But if it says Cameo, like if it's not the light up Cameo, it's a different Cameo model. But for what we're going to do in this class today, the process will be exactly the same. So you can still get started. All right, so someone said, can the cross cutter at the back cut cardstock as well? I have never tried to cut cardstock with it because I haven't cut cardstock matless. I do know that is something that's possible, so I'm not completely sure if it would cut cardstock just because I haven't had experience doing that. It's definitely made for vinyl and heat transfer, so I'm not quite sure on the answer to that one, but Kelly might know the answer. I'm not sure, but we shall see. So I think we're good to go ahead and get started with the rest of our class today. So in this class, what I want to show you guys how to do is how to take just a blank that you have. So I'm using this little pot that has some faux grass in it, and I'm just going to make a little vinyl decal to go on the front right here. And vinyl can seem intimidating, but it's definitely what most crafters use their cutting machines for. And it's probably the reason most of you have bought a Silhouette machine, because it is really, really popular and it's a super fun form of crafting that feels more permanent. You know, if you make a paper card, it's not that it's not fun to make paper cards, and I love paper crafts, but it doesn't feel as permanent as something solid that you can actually, you know, put on a shelf and display or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and start by showing you guys the software. So I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm just going to show you guys how to pull up the software. So anybody can download the software for free on silhouetteamerica.com. And then when you install it on your computer, you just are gonna, it'll pop up down in your toolbar and you just double click it to open. And it is kind of a big software. So sometimes it takes a second to open. I am using the business edition today, which is a upgraded $100 one-time fee that you can pay, and that just allows you to have more tools in the Silhouette Studio. But everything we're going to do today, and especially if you're a beginner, you do not need the upgraded software. You can just use the basic tools that it comes with. So I'm going to go ahead and close my little Zoom window as much as possible so it doesn't get in the way. And when you open up the software, it will default to the last settings that you used. So the other day when I was using this, I was using a 12 by 24 inch mat, and my media was 18 by whatever this is, 20 inches or whatever, or sorry, 12 by 18 inches, I think. So I just need to come up here to my page setup panel, which is the very top icon. And this is where you'll always begin when you're doing a Silhouette project. So you just come up here and then you're going to select just 1, 2, and 3. You'll select the machine you're using, which I'm using the Cameo 4, and then the cutting mat. So I was using the 12 by 24 inch mat, but we're actually not going to use a mat at all today. So I'm going to click none. And then my vinyl that I'm using is 9 inches wide actually. So that's perfect. And then we can just leave it at 18 inches. Since I'm not using a mat, it would just keep feeding it automatically if my design filled this whole thing. So that's just the basics of setting up your mat. I'm going to open up the chat just so I can see. Perfect. Okay, so no new questions. So does anybody have any questions about setting up your media in the Silhouette Studio? I will show you, I guess, if you were using a mat, which chances are, if you're starting out, you are going to use a.
Hi guys, McKenna's mic went out. We truly apologize, everyone. And for those who may not have seen Kelly's message, she just wanted to know if you have any questions, to please place them in the chat while she can help you.
1, 2. Check, check. Yeah, can you message her that?
Yeah, I just messaged her.
All right, we can hear you guys now.
Oh, good, perfect. Okay, great. Sorry about that, guys. So we were able to get the mic fixed. So it looks like we have some good questions going on in the chat. So like I was saying, I don't know if you guys heard this part, but if you were going to use a mat, you would just select that you're using the Cameo 12 by 12 mat, and then you would select your media size, whether that was 8.5 by 11 paper or 12 by 12 paper or something like that. But we're not using the mat today. We're going matless, and we'll just do 9 inches because it's just 9 inches wide. Perfect. So let's go ahead and move on to the design store. So go ahead. When you want to go to the design store, you can either go to silhouettedesignstore.com, or you can just come up here to the very top and click store. And it will open up a web browser. Perfect. And as you can see, we always have sales that are going on right here. When you look through these banners, we have a free design every week. So make sure you always grab those, and just always check out these sections that we have. And then you'll also be able to see what's new in the design store, designs that just barely went in, trending designs that are really, really popular right now. This one is from, ooh, sorry about that. This one is from Kelly's Premium Michael's class a couple weeks ago. That was really, really fun. So there's a whole bunch of just really, really fun designs in here. And I actually want to show you guys how easy it is to find whatever you want. So I want somebody to give me an idea of something that they want me to put on this plant. It could be a flower, it could be a sun, it could be a heart, pretty much anything. So if you have an idea, put it in the chat for me. All right, Barb said a daisy. So we'll go ahead and do that. So if you're going to be looking for a design, all you have to do is come up to the search bar, and we're just going to type daisy into the search bar. Awesome. And there's so many different ones that pop up, as you guys can see. We're not going to do one like this today because that would be, I think these are actually sketch designs, but we want to do something fairly simple today. And I do actually only have black vinyl right here. So let's go ahead and do this one. This one will be good because I'll still be able to give you guys some weeding tips, but it won't take too long. So I'm going to go ahead and just add this to my cart by clicking this little blue shopping cart. And the design ID is 380879. And then we're going to proceed to checkout by just clicking this little blue arrow. So I see somebody asked, where did you get the idea that you needed a canvas of 9 inches? So the reason I selected 9 inches was because the vinyl that I'm using is 9 inches wide. So I selected 9 inches wide, and I'm not using the whole thing of vinyl, the whole roll of vinyl. So that's why I'm not going to change the length. I'm just changing the width to know how big to make it or how wide to make it. Somebody asked, is the design of the week only one design or multiple? So I'm going to actually show you guys that. And I actually, that daisy did not add to the cart. So I'm going to refresh maybe. Oh, okay, there it is. I just had to scroll down. So once you see everything that's in your cart, you're just going to go ahead and click checkout. And then it will have you type in your password again, and then you'll just hit submit just to make sure that you're on your account and it is you buying. And then you'll just get a confirmation that the files have been added to your library. So to answer someone's question about the design of the week, you're just going to come up here to this free tab at the top. And we do offer one exclusive free design every Tuesday that we change out, but there are a whole bunch of designs on this page. And some of them are just free all the time. Like this mom design is free for the next couple of weeks. This little bunny design, this Valentine's design has obviously been free for a while. And then some of them are free with purchase. So as long as you're purchasing something, if you add it to your cart, it will ring up as free when you buy it. So this bloom is so cute. I love that. Little piñata, be kind. So there's a lot of good stuff. So always make sure to check this page before you check out for that reason. So that's all we're going to do in the design store, unless somebody else has any more questions about the design store. But it doesn't look like it. So I'm actually going to stop my screen share right now to show you how I'm going to determine how big to make my design. So I have this little planter. It's fairly small, and I also have a little ruler right here. And I'm just going to measure it to see how big it is. So it is 2.5 inches wide and just about 3 inches, or sorry, 2.5 inches tall and just about 3 inches wide, but a little bit under 3 inches. So I think if I do it 2 inches, that's going to be a perfect size. So that's just a really simple way. 2 inches is usually a pretty good rule of thumb for something that's kind of small. So we're going to go ahead and do 2 inches, and I'll start the screen share again to show you how I set it up. So to pull up this item in my library, I'm just going to come up here to this library tab and click it. And then it's syncing right now, which means that any designs that I just barely purchased, it's adding them to my library. And it says that it's synced. So rather than searching through all of these files, because I have over 1,500 files in here, I'm just going to type Daisy. And I even have quite a few daisies already in my library. This is the one that we just barely picked and added. So to do it, to add it to the design, you're just going to double click it. And it will open right up into Silhouette Studio. And all designs open at different sizes. It just depends on what the artist saved it as when they created the file. So this is 4.6 inches. So we do not want it to be that big. So we are just going to lock this little button right here. And that just locks the scale. So the width and the height scale together. And then we said we wanted it to be 2 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in the corner of the canvas. And then I am going to stop the screen share to show you how to load in the vinyl. Perfect. So we are using black vinyl today. This is the black matte vinyl here at Silhouette. And I just peeled off the wrapper that it comes in, and then we're going to load it into the machine. So since I'm using the 9-inch vinyl today, I'm going to, this is probably really hard for you to see, but there is a 12-inch marker and there's a 9-inch marker. And I'm using the 9-inch, so I'm going to slide it and it will kind of click into place. You can probably see that a little bit. It like clicks in and it doesn't slide as easily. That's how you know that you're in the right spot. And then you're just going to pop your vinyl into both sides, feed it through this sheet. And then we do need to bring our rollers down so that the end roller is on the second set of arrows. Yes, there you go. You can see the second set of arrows right here. So in order to do that, we're just going to put this little lever down, hold down the little lock icon, and then slide it until it clicks into place and doesn't slide anymore on those little arrows. So then we're just going to line our vinyl up with, there's 2 little white arrows on this side, which I'm sure you can't see right now with the vinyl in. But we're just going to line it up right there with those arrows and then press the upward arrow. And when I am cutting matless, I always like to feed it through just to make sure that it doesn't get caught. I'm just gonna make sure, yes, that's good. So I just like to do that to make sure that it doesn't get caught. Obviously, if I'm using a brand new roll and I'm cutting something big, I don't do that. But if I'm doing something small, it's just something that I found works for me. And it's a little tip on how to make things go a little bit smoother. So that's all you have to do to load your vinyl in. It's totally ready to go now. So then we're going to go to the send panel to show you how to officially send this to your machine. And the send panel, I think, is what causes people the most stress or the most uncertainty when it comes to your Silhouette machine. And it can be a little bit confusing, but I promise you, when you take it just top to bottom, all of the different aspects that you need to know, it's not that hard. So the first thing we need to do is it already recognizes that we are using an auto blade. So, well, actually we need to connect our machine first. So I guess you don't start at the top because my machine didn't connect automatically. And that's just because when I open this tab down here, which is all the machines we have in the office, you'll see how many machines we have here that it's possible that it connected to. So I'm just going to search for the one that says available, and it's just right there, Cameo 4 available. And I'm just going to hover. Doesn't want to let me select that one. And then you'll just select that machine, just click it. Perfect. And so now it's just syncing this machine real quick. And then now it's ready to go. So now that it's ready, it recognizes that I'm using an auto blade. And so now we just need to select the material that we're using, which we are using matte vinyl. And we are doing an auto cut. So it did say pop out cut before, but once you select like matte vinyl, it will default to the correct type of cut that you're doing. And then we're using an auto blade. And then I always like to cut my vinyl on a 2. I've just found that that works best for me. And it just comes out really, really smoothly when I do that. So now I'm going to show you how to do a test cut. So the test cut is just this little button down here at the bottom, and all you do is press it after you've selected the settings that you like. You're just going to press test, and it's going to cut a little triangle and a little square. And yeah, since I had that fed through, it'll spit it out to the start. And I have the little triangle right here. And as you guys can see, that cut really, really nicely. And since it did the test cut and spit it out, I'm just gonna leave the vinyl where it is right here. So a test cut is the perfect way to not waste any vinyl that you guys might have, because as long as you know that you're cutting it correctly the first time, you're not going to have it come out and have it not cut all the way through, or maybe have cut too far through. So always do a test cut, especially when you're doing vinyl and heat transfer material. The only other thing that we have to do now that everything's ready to go and our test is good, we just have to press send at the bottom. And it will just send it to your machine, and it's going to cut now. And we're just going to watch it cut. This machine, or sorry, this design is a little bit more intricate, so it might take a second to cut. So now is a great time for you guys to ask any questions that you might have. Okay, so somebody said, can the roller on the portrait be moved as well for smaller widths? No, the roller on the portrait is stationary. The reason being is there aren't very many times that you're going to be cutting vinyl that's smaller than 9 inches in width, like an entire roll. So if you are cutting a piece of vinyl that's smaller than 9 inches, you'll just have to cut your scrap and then place it on the mat. So you can't cut smaller than that mat list. So I hope that answers your question. So this just finished cutting, and I just want to show you what I do every single time the machine finishes cutting is I just take the little silhouette hook tool, and I just like to make sure I just try to pull out one tiny little piece, even though I did my test cut, just to make sure. And it came out perfectly. I'm going to show you guys how to use the cross cutter since we did end up using the top. You just press this little downward arrow and feed it through. And I will turn it around so you guys can see it. So you just feed it through until you see your design. Perfect. And then you're going to pop down these 2 tabs on the side and then just slide the cutter across. And then make sure the cutter is all the way across and pop up those tabs. I think a few weeks ago, Kelly was actually teaching a class, and I had been using the machine the day before, and I had been using the cross cutter and I forgot to put it up. And if you do that, it just won't be able to feed through. So she was cutting something in her class and it got jammed because I had left the cross cutter down. So I'm sorry, Kelly, but to anybody that happens to in the future, know that it's a common little mistake you can make. So now I'm just going to take some scissors and then cut just a line. And then this is like obviously one of those pieces that, you know, you can't put it back on the roll. So I'll just put it in like a scrap box. And then next time I need to use it to cut, I'll just put it on a mat and then just line it up in the corner and select the media size, which for this piece is like 3 inches by 7 inches. So it has a grid on the back per square inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this right here for now. And then we're going to go ahead and put the machine away for now. So I'm just going to unload this. So just press the bottom downward arrow to unload. And it'll spit it all the way out. And then you can just gently kind of pull that tab back and pull the vinyl, roll it back up. And then we'll just put the tabs down and store the vinyl holder drawer. And then to turn it off, you just press this little button over here and you can disconnect your different cords or whatever. And that is how you make your first cut with the silhouette machine. So I hope that it didn't seem too intimidating. It's really not that hard once you get the hang of it, but I know that it can seem a little bit hard when you're starting out. So I hope that we simplified the software and you feel like it's something that you can do now. But any questions that you continue to have, we can still pull them up and show you guys some different software questions you might have or anything like that. I'm just going to show you guys how I would weed this little design. And I know it's really, really small, but the thing that I do first always is I just pull to the side. And then very, very slowly, especially on an intricate design like this one, I'm just going to pull the outside rim. And it is very, very sticky. And then you're just going to look for all of these little inside pieces and just pull them away. And I don't recommend pulling on the little, like this design is so intricate that I don't recommend pulling the intricate lines. Try and pull where there's a big space, and that will pull the actual vinyl away from the lines without you ripping the lines or anything. And I really, really like weeding. Not everybody likes weeding, but I find it really enjoyable. And this design isn't too bad. I wanted to do something that shows you how the silhouette can cut intricate details and very, very small, thin lines. But it doesn't have to be super hard to do that. But also, if this seems like something that's too hard for you, you could easily do a little design that's more blocky without tiny lines. And if that's something that you would feel more comfortable starting out with, that's totally okay too. Because yeah, like this little piece right here is really, really small. And that is why you pretty much need a hook tool when you're doing tiny little pieces like this. I've seen people try and like weed with a toothpick and things like that before, but the weed tool just really makes all the difference, I think. So. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and look at the chat too. Okay, so someone asked, I hope you guys don't mind, but as I'm doing this weeding, I see somebody has a question about the software. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this or start the screen share just so I can answer that question. So they asked, what's the difference between no cut, cut, and cut edge? So sometimes if you're doing like a print and cut class, you are going to have aspects of your design that you don't want cut out, whether that's maybe like a word in the middle or a phrase or just like a printed part of the design. So if you didn't want that to cut, you just select the item and then you would press no cut. And then the machine would know to not cut it because it doesn't have the big, thick, bold red line around it. We were on cut. So if you did want it to cut, you just select the item and then you would hit cut. And then if you only wanted it to cut the edge, you would just click cut edge. And this design doesn't work in that way because it has a lot of different edges, but it would just cut around the outside. So maybe you have like a circle design that has polka dots in it or something like that. You don't want it to cut all of those little polka dots. So then it would just cut around the circle rather than the entire design. So I hope that makes sense. Awesome, we're about halfway through this little weeding design. Okay. What kind of projects do you guys like to make? Because as somebody who runs the social media, I'm making a lot of projects and I love to make projects that you guys like to see. So do you guys like vinyl projects or paper projects? Let me know in the chat. So Tony asked, can we do a font stencil for a t-shirt? And I actually did a class on that a couple months ago. Kelly, I think it was like a fabric ink t-shirt stencil. I'm not sure. But it's also on our social media. If you go back and scroll, you can find a class where we did that. So we've already had that class. And if you're interested in that, that was a really fun class. The design was so cute. Okay, and then I'm just having a little bit of a hard time getting this last piece. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so this is our weeded design. I just need to pull it up close to my eyes to make sure we got all the pieces. We have one tiny little piece right here. Okay, perfect. So this is our little weeded design. So now I want to show you guys how we would transfer this to our little plant holder. So I will say when you're starting out, it's easier to do things that are flat rather than things that are rounded like a mug or something like that. So we're going to use this transfer tape, and this is the Aura Tape brand. It's the best kind of transfer tape, I think. It's just super sticky and it's just really, really easy to use. And this also, it's probably really hard to see, but it does have a grid on it, and these ones are every 1/2 inch. So that's how you can know they must be every 1/4 inch. So that is something that can help you know how big of a piece to cut. And like I said, this little flower is 2 inches. So we're going to do it 2 1/4. Maybe they are every 1/2 inch. Let's see. I think they're every 1/2 inch. Yes. Okay. Never mind. So they're every 1/2 inch, not 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and make like 2 1/2, like cut it at like 2 1/2. We'll come down here. And you don't want it to be too small. You want it to be about the size of your design. And then you're just going to peel the backing off. So I always do that by folding the corner over, and then it just pops right up, and then peel it away. Save this little piece because transfer tape is reusable. And then we're just going to stick that right on top. And then I'm going to use this little silhouette scraper tool and just go ahead and push it down on top of it to get any air bubbles out. Awesome. And then I just turn it over always, and then just peel the paper, the vinyl paper away from my design. I think it looks so fun when it's just on this little piece of transfer tape too, because it's transparent and you can just see your design. And so I really like this step. And then you're just going to place it in the middle of your pot. I always just visually center things. I know that some people want to measure it out, and you can measure it out if you want. But I just always visually center because I find that a lot easier. So we're just going to push it down. You can take your scraper tool again and just go over it a few times. And then we're just going to peel off the transfer tape. Awesome. So this is our little final project, guys. It turned out so cute. I hope that you guys feel like this is something that you could actually make yourself, because that's the whole point of this class, is to just teach you how to make your first cut with silhouette. And I would even say, like, if this design intimidates you, I mean, you guys saw how easy it was. It wasn't hard at all. But you could always pick something a little bit simpler too. And I think this turned out super fun. So we do have a few minutes left. So if you have any questions, now is a great time to answer them. And Kelly and I can go over some of those. But if you don't have any questions, I just want to talk about a few different things that we have coming up. So next week, we have a class with Lori Whitlock, which is an exclusive Zoom class. She doesn't always come and teach for us. Kelly and I teach classes pretty much monthly, but Lori is a special guest that we're going to have, and you can register for her class, and she's going to be teaching us how to make a Father's Day card and then a heat transfer apron that matches the card to go along with it. If you guys are interested in coming to that class. And then in a couple weeks, I'm going to be teaching a how to make a paper portrait class with your silhouette machine. And that is an advanced class, and it's also a premium Michaels class, which means it's $15, but you will learn skills that we don't teach in either this intro class or the other beginner classes. So it's a little bit more advanced. You do have to have, well, I should say I'm going to be using an iPad or tablet for the process. You don't have to have one. I'll share how you could do the project without that. But it is a lot easier, and the process I'll be using, you'll be using an iPad and an Apple Pencil to draw your portrait and then to cut it with the silhouette machine. So those are our upcoming classes that we have. So those are really, really fun. We really like to see you guys all the time. Kelly's going to be teaching this intro to silhouette class next month in June. So if you still feel like you could use a little bit of beginner introduction, feel free to join us next month as well. And Kelly will be teaching that class. It doesn't look like we have any more questions really. So we might just go ahead and wrap up a few minutes early, but thank you guys so much for joining us today. Make sure to keep watch on our social media to find out if you don't have a machine yet, where you can get one on sale always, and where you can just find lots of inspiration for a lot of different projects. So thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this class and I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. Bye.